You've been put in charge of running an afterlife for people who aren't evil enough to go into hell. What are some of the tortures you design? Every own speech is lagging 1 second behind their lip movements. Laundry is still ever so slightly damp. You know when you feel itchy, so you scratch yourself, but then after you scratch one itch you're itchy somewhere else. And it's not a strong itch, it's just barely strong enough for you to want to scratch it. Yeah, that. Forever. Also one tiny muscle twitching in your left eyelid. For days. All earbuds will have one side broken. Earbuds but one side cuts out every 30 seconds. You need to hold them in a special way to make them work. All the soda you want, but it's always flat and room temperature. Every fork is missing 2 tines. You get a new pair of shoes, but one shoe sole is 1/4 inch thicker than the other. Every key is bent just a little bit, but every time you use it, it bends a little bit more. When it finally breaks, it will break off inside the lock, and the one locksmith in heck is busy with everyone else's broken keys. But stay on the line, your call is important to us. You have to flip every USB connection 4 times before it goes in. And if you disconnect without ejecting it first, you lose all the data on the drive permanently. Farts are now as contagious as yawns. And Fridays are what we call beanstravaganza. Every day will have mandatory show tune hour. Every smartphone will have a pre-cracked screen. Pictures hung on the wall will never be perfectly straight. Tables and chairs will always be a little bit wobbly. A TV with one channel, a logo bouncing around that never hits the corner. Everything has a layer of dust, but there is no way to clean any of it unless you wipe it off with your hands. This leads to there still being some dust always stuck in cracks and corners that will never be reachable. Forcing them to stare at cups that are way too close to the edge. Like almost falling. But they aren't. And just when they start getting comfortable in the knowledge that the cups won't fall, we let a cat into the room. I make an amazing and addictive TV series with ups, downs, success, failure, love, hate, and everything in between. These great storylines, these great characters, everything is amazing. And when the series is about to end, earlier in the day before the finale airs that ties up all the loose ends and gives ending to everyone, I cancel it. It was all the dream of a syphilitic homeless guy. Yes, a bad ending is so much worse than no ending. Same lack of closure, but less hope that it'll ever be fixed in the future. Instead of devils with pitchforks, they get toddlers and babies with sharp baby fingernails. And they are obliged to care for these toddlers and babies, who vomit or throw tantrums all the time. I've got it, said Satan, and grinned with delight. May all of their sneezes arrive in the night. May all of their tables be tippy, he cried. May of all their laces be loose and untied. May all of their digits be stubbed till they bleed. May all of their captures be vexing to read. May all of their dinners be slow to defrost. May all of their keys be departed and lost. May all of their queues be unbearably long. Forever relentlessly stuck on a song. Forever upsetting and spilling their drink. Forever no step on the stair where they think. He giggled, demented, and wiggled with joy. He chuckled, contented, and pleased with his ploy. He danced and he bopped, and he bounded and bounced. And let there be stones in their shoes, he announced. Whether they're a fronty or a backy doesn't matter, the moment their back is turned, the toilet paper gets automatically switched to the opposite of their preference. All beds have only the scratchiest of wool blankets, and they are too short to cover your feet and upper torso at the same time. You have to listen to someone incorrectly explain to someone else how to use a piece of technology that you are an expert at. Their phone cord constantly connects and disconnects every couple seconds while they're sleeping, and buzzes each time it reconnects. Let them use the internet to look up things, however it has to be a 56k download speed and the mouse is an old school trackball one that is constantly dirty and catches every so often, and no matter how much you clean it, it will never be smooth. They always have minty breath, like after brushing your teeth. Heck, part involves milk and orange juice, only. No other options. A couple of things, and probably more once I come up with them. They are lust for the one food they could not withstand in life and go shopping, but shopping carts block the entire pathway. You can see the object, but never reach it, nor leave the store until closing time. On the intercom dancing in the streets is playing on repeat. The pavement is divided between tiles with an X on them and tiles without an X. Stepping on tiles with an X makes your shoes/socks so wet they won't dry for 6 hours. Tiles without an X have dog poop on them. Every Friday there's a slid shower event that's mandatory to visit and lasts 36 hours. Flushing the toilet is only possible once a day. Both sides of their pillows are always hot. Ordered pizza always says pulling up now on the tracker, but in reality still takes 3 hours. Every time they're about to walk through a door, someone holds it open for them when they are still just that bit too far away that they have to speed up. So it's awkward, and every time they pass through a door, they have to hold it open for someone else who is just that awkward distance away too. One huge line of people, slowly moving forward towards a door. When you get through, there's another huge line of people. You'd start socializing with people around you, but they've been there so long they are super paranoid about you trying to take their spot. Everyone is one bad move away from a complete meltdown, but somehow the tension keeps everyone in line. Pun intended. You're thirsty and hungry, but you can't step out. You're tired, but there's no way to sit down and rest. The 7 annoying circles of Hexloath. Sinners are sitting on an incredibly comfy sofa in front of a TV, but the channel is forever broadcasting an incredibly boring and loud show, and the remote is just out of your arm's reach, moving just far away when you are about to reach it. Wrath. The sinner has to guide a person through a task in which the sinner is knowledgeable, but the person performing does the opposite thing by mistake. The task always near completion, but has to be redone because the person fucks it up. The sinner of course cannot intervene. Lust. The sinner can watch porn, but their grandmother calls from heaven and has to answer to a video call. Gluttony. The sinner can eat any food they desire, but is spiced with the thing they most despise. Greed. The sinner has to lend some of cash to a person. That person, when asked to return the money, says yeah, I don't have the cash today, I'll return them to you tomorrow, promise. Envy. Anything the sinner desires, but a person the sinner despises gets the best version of the thing they wished for. Pride. The sinner is in an infinite series of races on the thing they do best against a person who is slightly better at it and always wins. Also, the person claims it was their first time at it. An eternity of watching and satisfying things. For instance, egg being dropped, but instead of cracking they either just disappear or bounce. All screens are slightly greasy and can't be cleaned. Out of every pair of socks, one is always slightly damp, while the other has a huge hole. You hear construction around your house constantly. During every meal, at least one bite always falls off the fork right before you bite. Chargers only work if you're not using whatever's plugged in. You always feel the urge to crack your knuckles, but they can't crack. There is always a slow driver in front of them. Always. Not bad, just 3 to 4 miles per hour slower than they want to go. And on highways, slower and inconsistent speeds. Always have a nostril clogged for 23h every day. While browsing the internet, every click to a new page takes half a second longer than the last click and keeps increasing at that rate until you restart the device. When driving, someone always cuts them off and then drives 10 below the speed limit. The person in front of you in line always needs to count out their exact change. When ordering at a restaurant, they never have your first choice or your second. You perpetually wake up with a kink in your neck. You are forced to listen to TikTok by $HA over and over. This one has happened to me in real life and I wouldn't wish it on anyone who didn't deserve it. Uncomfortable ASMR. You know, like chalk ASMR shudder. Every Thursday, everyone plays a game of their choice. Board games are always missing one pawn. Video games are always glitching out. Any form of exercise is always faulty. The bikes have that one squeak that no one can place. The treadmills always change speeds. The weights are either too heavy or too light. You forever have a child that can't quite sleep through the night. Not up all night, like those poor bastard in hell have it. Just waking up once or twice every night. Nothing is ever just right. The TV is always a hair too loud, and lowering it one notch is a hair too quiet. You're warm with a jacket, but chilly without one. There is no sweet spot on the shower temperature. Toilets are all just a little too high to be comfortable. Diner tables are always a little too low. Torture by an infinite number of mild inconveniences. You constantly feel slightly nauseous and all the floors are trampolines.